and expertise related to the areas of personal and business development. This is a platform where we can educate, inspire, and empower our listeners in leveling up their life and their business. Life is a big masterclass, and our journeys ultimately lead us to our purpose. You can also find our show on Apple Podcasts. If you're an entrepreneur looking to level up, we invite you to our Life School Business Community Hub. More details will be provided underneath the interview. We also are always looking for experts to be on our show. So if you are one, please fill out the form underneath the interview as well. This week, I have the amazing honor to have another expert guest on our show. Her name is Linda Goetze. Linda, thank you so much for finding time out of your busy schedule to come on our show today.
Very happy to be here, Ilona. Thank you for the opportunity. And it's such a pleasure to connect with entrepreneurs. And I would never call myself an expert. I appreciate the kindness, but I got engaged with blockchain back in 2012. And I think it's because I was a very early adopter that I've had opportunities to step into spaces that maybe others haven't. But the reality is, it's an emerging marketplace. It's an industry that is, I think experimenting with taking off its training pants, and we're actually headed into some really unique and positive business applications using blockchain technology, and it's an exciting time and a space. And I had the pleasure of leading the Blockchain Chamber of Commerce as president and CEO for a number of years, and currently with DFM DataCore, and getting to look at the whole supply chain space and say, how can we best facilitate the responsible use of emerging technologies to really support the efficiencies and the people that are involved in the supply chain process. So yeah, it's an exciting time, and happy to be here and have a conversation about some of those aspects. So.
Yeah, I'm so glad to have you on, and really, really interested into the area that you actually cover. I don't think we ever had anyone talk about this topic before, so I'm really interested in learning more about it. And how is it that maybe our viewers can contribute and share into this mission, or that you seem to be part of? So tell us a little bit, educate us a little bit more about this topic.
Give us so I'm gonna dial it down into something really, really simple. Everyone knows there's like single ledger accounting that started when, somebody had grain and somebody wanted to buy it, and you had the little cuneiform, stamp, 3 bushels, and that was a single ledger, right? That little cuneiform tablet represented that transaction, and if you didn't have the tablet, you didn't have evidence of the transaction. Then they went to double ledger, right? And this enabled global trade. And you had 2 sets of books that were then able to be reconciled and prove that, this truly was the transaction that had occurred. Well, with blockchain technology, you have triple ledger transactions that can happen, where you have this source of truth that doesn't require either party. It's part of this global network. The Bitcoin blockchain is a great example of that. It's actually the first implementation of blockchain. And most people, they're familiar with Bitcoin, but they're not familiar with blockchain. And blockchain is that underlying technology. And, how do you get involved? There's very simple ways to engage with the cryptocurrency side of things. If you want to own a Bitcoin token, I'm going to call it a token. It's a Bitcoin. You can buy fractions of a Bitcoin. They call them Satoshis. It's like 100 millionth of a Bitcoin. And you can buy very small amounts. You can engage. You can start to get a feel for what the blockchain infrastructure feels like, the digital wallets. A lot of unique things have been being created to help allow for growth in value. And some of your listeners may be aware of the fact that we have, either zero interest or even negative interest in some places in the world. And we used to be paid for being savers, right? We used to, be able to get, 5, 6, 7, oh gosh, I've seen 14% interest. That was, back in the 80s. And now if you put your money in some banks, you're actually paying them to hold your money for you and use it until you ask for it. And then you hope that it's going to be there. And there's not a real sense of ability to control or to have your value grow over time. And cryptocurrencies are a way to diversify so that you have more options, and you may be able to kind of hedge against what's happening in some of the financial markets. Some countries have been more challenged than others in how their currency has inflated, and I know we're not necessarily going into a whole economics discussion here, but that's part of the why of why does blockchain matter? Why does cryptocurrency matter? And the other big part of the why is it's enabling a business process flow that wasn't possible before, and allowing individuals in a supply chain to collaborate with each other and have no need for them to trust each other, because the interaction that's happening through the blockchain smart contracts is basically enforcing the right behavior. So there's this allowing technology to kind of play the role of the middleman. And so, yeah, the business applications are even exponentially greater than just the kind of value growth over time as adoption increases that we're seeing in cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing all of that. As you were speaking, I'm thinking about our audience, and a lot of people now with the way with pivoting from COVID, they're looking at different ways to get involved and invest in other revenue, in other ways that they can actually start creating some income. So it seems like this is a good opportunity to do that. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. There is a value proposition when you have a limited supply of something and you have growing demand. And so we've seen that in the cryptocurrency markets. For those of you who aren't familiar with Bitcoin, it has a limited supply of only 21 million Bitcoin that will ever exist. And so if you have that limited supply and you have growing adoption and demand over time, then it's inherent that the value relative to other assets will grow. So yeah, it is a unique opportunity. I would obviously, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not wanting to give anybody financial advice, but from my personal experience, it's the best performing asset class I have ever held, and it's been one of those once in a lifetime opportunities that is not like the ship hasn't left the dock yet. That's what's amazing to me. People are like, oh, you got involved in 2012. I missed the boat, and the adoption cycle is one where we still have huge room to grow. So I don't see that anybody has missed the boat. It's just educate yourself and then act. I cannot tell you how many friends, family members said, oh, I should have bought Bitcoin back in. And I'm like, well, there's today, right? You can have planted a tree 20 years ago, or you can plant it today. And, 2 years later, they're like, I should have bought when I talked to you. And I'm like, what about today? And it's the opportunity is there. It's individual's choice, right? To act. And we have so many more convenient platforms today to actually purchase cryptocurrencies than we had when I was first looking at it back in 2012. I mean, the convenience factor is huge. And, Coinbase, super easy place. We have some really solid exchanges like Gemini, Kraken. They're just opportunities, right? And you should never put in more than you are willing to lose, because if you do, you're going to have sleepless nights, because there is volatility. And you have to understand, what your risk profile is, and as an investor. And I mean, just looking at, portfolio over the past week, almost 15% growth in 1 week that I can see just looking at a small piece of my portfolio. And that's fairly significant if you're having that happen over time and you're making responsible decisions throughout the adoption cycle. It's still a great time to act, in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that, because I do hear about Bitcoin so much, and I haven't really, had the opportunity, I guess, to look more into this area. So I appreciate everything you had to share with us over this topic, because it does get confusing. It just seems like, you have to really do your homework on the subject and really understand, what you're getting yourself into and how to best invest.
There's a really great resource. It's the blockchainecosystem.io platform. There's literally a little video there that in just a few minutes will walk you through some of the cautionary points that you need to be aware of as you're investing in a crypto asset. It doesn't take a whole lot of time, and that is a trusted resource. So I would recommend, taking that little bit of time, and I think the value proposition over time can really be exponential. And some people say treat this asset like you're a dead person, right? Because if you let your emotions get involved, then you are likely to make poor decisions as to when to sell. Holding over time is where your biggest value prop is likely to happen. So just little bits over time. I call it legging in. It just helps you sleep easy at night, and then gives you a nice potential to have very positive growth. So yeah, once again, not investment advice, but there's great resources. Blockchainecosystem.io is one of them, and yeah, look forward to. On LinkedIn, I'm happy to connect and answer questions people might have, but it is do your own research and act opportunity.
Absolutely. And Linda, we were chatting a little bit before, and a majority of our audience are women entrepreneurs that are entering.
Wonderful.
Right? Either starting their business or that, are coming out from corporate positions, some forced, some willingly. There's a lot of people that are looking to find fulfillment and purpose-driven missions and participate in building their own companies. And I know that you've been in leadership positions. And as a woman, what would be some of the advice or from your journey, your personal journey on helping empowering women to start and grow their businesses, and also to be in leadership positions and have a seat at the table and empower themselves to do that?
Yeah, it's once again, see the opportunity and act, right? If I think about why I have been able to achieve the things that I have, it's because I took action. And I know we as women are more likely to, go, oh, I don't have enough experience. I don't have enough education. I don't have. We don't look at what we do have and take action in confidence that we have things that are a gift to the world. And so that's my strongest recommendation is take that next step, right? Do the next thing first. And the opportunity in the blockchain space, even starting now, if you check out the opportunity to better understand blockchain and then see how it can connect to whatever aspect of business you're passionate about and the experience base that you have, and then you draw those links and then you become the subject matter expert in that niche, there is such opportunity, because we're having an adoption cycle, not just in the cryptocurrency side of things, we're having an adoption cycle in the business implementation side of things. And every business can benefit in some way either through the crypto side of things or through the business implementation side of things. And if you know your space and you can connect the dots, you become invaluable, because there needs to be that adoption, and people that are willing to do the work and get kind of their hands dirty, so to speak, in understanding it can really benefit from it. And, you know, women, gosh, we have companies that are being required to have women on their boards, right? I mean, there is a tremendous opportunity for women to step into their power and own the experience that they have, and bring that unique perspective to the table. And you don't have to have everything, right? You don't have to have all the answers. You just need to have a unique perspective that is based on where you're coming from, and show where that can be valuable in the next steps of the company, in the next steps of the technology adoption, in whatever the next steps can be. If you can see that and you can bring your perspective into that transition time, I think the opportunity is really there, in a unique way. And yes, there are a lot of people that are in a transitionary stage. And I had an opportunity. Opportunity is, it's amazing that that's the word that comes to mind, but it was an opportunity to step away from my role leading the Blockchain Chamber of Commerce and say, you know what, this aspect of that role doesn't bring me joy, and this is who I am. And I stepped into the this is who I am part. I had 4 job offers in 24 hours. I mean, it was one of those, you know, I had to choose, and then I had to act, and then the opportunity was there for me to step into something new. And I think there always is an aspect of opportunity that we have to be sometimes willing to step out of where we are to get to that next open door, that next best step for us. So.
Absolutely. There's so many things that resonate with me based on what you said. So I think it's, as women, we have the perfectionism and the confidence level. We need to just believe in our abilities, find our unique strength, and just take that courage and just keep going until the next thing and the next thing, so that we can build ourselves and position ourselves. I always say, it's once you add and have all this experience and skills, you now are more aware and more knowledgeable about what is it that you can offer to any place that you go into, whether it's your own business, it's your customers, or you're working for a corporation or a company. You become more valuable. And I think we have to really understand what our worth is, because a lot of us undermine our worth. That's my experience from my work.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Linda, thank you so much. I will let you go. It's been a very insightful interview. I added the links on the bottom of the interview where people can find out more about you on LinkedIn. And also, do you want to speak a little bit about your nonprofit?
Yeah, it's there's 2 nonprofits. One is connected to DFM Data Corp, and one of the core missions that we have as a company is to serve young people with special needs who are aging out of the school system and provide them housing and supports. So that's something that I'm part of, bringing that foundation forward. But the other nonprofit that I'm also very passionate about, and have been for, gosh, it's been, I think, 5 years. It's called Bloom in the Dark. And my sister wrote a book 5 years ago that was 30 poems, stories, and letters of women who had gone through victimization of some sort, and had gone through the pathway of healing, and were now ex-victims. And that story, you know, the multiple stories and the stories that have been told. She has Bloom. It's Bloom Today, the TV show. And I think there's almost 100 episodes now of men and women, mostly women, but also men, that have gone through a journey of victimization to healing. And it's transformational, it's powerful, and many people have a story in their past. They have something where they have been a victim, and knowing that you're not alone, knowing that there is a pathway to a more positive outcome, to know that being stuck in bitterness and unforgiveness isn't necessary. It's really empowering. And so whenever I have the opportunity to let people know that Bloom in the Dark exists, bloominthe.org is the place you can go to access a lot of very, very powerful resources. Please, it's just something that we need to be here to support each other wherever we are in our journey. And so I'm always wanting people to know that resource is there.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing all of that and for everything that you have shared so far in the interview. We have come to reach the end of our interview. And I want to thank you again for your time and coming on, Linda.
Thank you, Elena. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.